Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Genki Lesson 20. We have a lot of things to cover tonight, but if you stick around to the end, you're going to learn how to use extra modest expressions in Japanese. Humble expressions. Learn to say how you did something without doing something else. How to use questions within sentences. How to say a thing called something something in Japanese, and using easy versus difficult when talking about certain verbs. So saying that this verb is difficult or this verb is easy, things like that. That's what we're going to be covering today. But before we get into that, I've got to go over this really quickly. If you'd like to help support the Tokini channel, please consider checking out the Patreon, where we have listening and shadowing videos, textbook practice videos where we go over all of the textbook practice at the end of each lesson with you. We have vocabulary videos, tests for all of Genki 1 and eventually all of Genki 2, special Discord roles, and more. And coming with the intermediate textbook we're going to be starting, there's going to be lots of new material for both Genki 1 and Genki 2 and Quartet coming out in the future here on Patreon, so lots coming throughout this year. Get excited about that. I know I am. I'm really excited about the stuff that's coming in Patreon over the next year. We've also got a merch store, Ko-Fi, and even if you can't help support financially, that's perfectly okay. Just try your best to learn as much as you can. And share this video with people you know who might be studying Japanese. Hit the like button, subscribe, the bell, all of that stuff, if you don't mind. So let's go ahead and see what everyone's up to tonight. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. We've got Beth, Felipe, Lena, Megan Dornbrook, Seven, Wananet, Yuki H, Gitai, and Come to Japan Dan, my trusty mod. Who else do we have here? I don't know if everyone shows up in that list anymore. Earlier on in the night, we also had, I think that's about everyone. Looks like we got everyone. Chris Lane, and Morton Gosh. Hola, konbanwa, Ndo-san, to Yuki-san. Konbanwa, Chris. Isaac V. Cornejo, hola. Lots of olas tonight. 3 degrees Celsius in Midlands, UK. Snow all melted now. It was about 0 today, and we got some snow, but it's not too bad out. We were supposed to go snowboarding today, but we slept in a bit, so we didn't go snowboarding today. Also, I was sick for about 2 or 3 days, so that sort of put a damper on things, but we're good to go now. We just keep getting more snow, have to dig the car out of the snow pile every single morning. That does not sound like an enjoyable thing to have to do every single morning. Every once in a while is not so bad, but hit that like button, says Come to Japan Dan, helps more people know about the stream. Thank you. Yes, it does. Appreciate that. Kitai says dab. And we've got nice loud mic working great. Thank you. Yes, I think I figured out what was wrong with it right before I started. This happened to me a couple months ago, and I never really figured out what the problem was I never figured out what the problem was. It just took care of itself. And then now that I've switched this computer, all of a sudden, 10 minutes before stream, my mic just decided to be super quiet, but I figured out what was wrong. So Beth, hello, good to see you. Why does Genki distinguish between humble and extra modest? Are they two different things? Yes, they are a bit different, and we'll get into that, I promise. Do you need Genki for this? You don't have to have it. I use Genki as sort of a roadmap. So I follow the Genki roadmap of the grammar that it's introducing, and I introduce those on the streams in that order. I find it easier to follow along that way, and some people like to have both the explanations that I give of Genki, as well as having Genki with the exercises and everything to be able to go through on their own when we don't have the live stream. So it certainly helps, but you don't have to have it. Keep in mind, if you've never touched a textbook before, we're going to be covering some pretty advanced stuff tonight, so you may have some difficulty. Risan Zarlin, ohayo, nihongo wakaranai. If you don't understand anything yet, you might have some difficulty, but if you've been studying for a while, you might be okay. But we're already on lesson 20, so, was sweating on the mountain. Christopher Rosenbachs, good evening. Thanks for being here. Was sweating on the mountain. Ina? Yeah. Hopefully snowboarding this Thursday. Gotta get out there. We got season passes this year, and we've only gone once for 1 hour. But the weather's been pretty terrible, so there's not much you can do about that. All right. So I hope everyone is having a great Sunday morning or afternoon wherever you are in the world, because we're about to make it better. I'm just here to chill, man. Sounds good, Seven. Enjoy yourself. All right. So The first thing we're going to be covering tonight is extra modest expressions in Japanese. So extra modest expressions basically push yourself down when you're talking about your own actions. So when you're talking about something that you're going to do and you want to be very, very respectful to the people you are telling the thing you're going to do or did do, you're going to use the extra modest expressions. Now, last week we talked about honorifics, and they're a bit different from extra modest expressions, though they are similar. Now, last time I told you that the honorific expressions, you're probably not going to use those much yourself. You'll hear them a lot when you're out at restaurants or if you're out at stores. It was very much a recognition lesson. It wasn't stuff you're going to be using. This one's a little bit different. Now, this is also stuff you'll be hearing, so you need to learn to recognize it so that you can understand it when you hear it. But you probably will find yourself using these expressions far more often than you will honorific expressions from the last lesson. So it is important that you learn what they mean and ideally how to use them, because these ones are a little bit more common. So let's just go ahead and jump into them, and then we'll go over how we use them with some example sentences later on. So the first one is iru, to exist, which is changed to oru. Now, I just want to mention before we go too far into this is that I'm giving you the dictionary forms of these extra modest expressions, but they're almost always going to be used in their mas form. You'll almost never use them in this form unless you're using them as part of like a separate expression. Maybe someone said this and then you're saying to iimashita or something like that, but don't worry about that right now. Generally speaking, it's always going to be in the mas form. So the next verbs are iku and kuru. Now, just like with honorific expressions, these use the exact same verb. There's no distinction between them, and that is mairu. Iku and kuru become mairu. Now, taberu and nomu, to eat and drink, just like with honorifics, there's no distinction between the two. They are itadaku. Some more verbs. We have suru, which becomes itasu. And you, to say, becomes mosu. Aru becomes gozaru. Now, gozaru is one of the ones that maybe you will not be using very frequently. Gozaru and down here, de gozaru. These are really only used in very formal business situations. You're not going to be using them very frequently in normal conversation, even if you're speaking very respectfully to people. If you're not in some kind of a business situation, you're probably not going to be using these two. Te iru becomes te oru. This one is a little bit more commonly used, so in introductions and stuff, you probably will be using the te oru form. So let's go over how we conjugate those, because that's how you're going to be using it most. You'll remember from the honorific section, there was a lot of, irregular conjugation where do endings became I, mas. There's not so many of those with these. These all conjugate as you would expect them to if they were godan verbs, which is what they are. So, iru, to exist, which becomes oru, you conjugate it as orimasu. So, for example, if someone asks me, is something over there, I can say orimasu. Actually, just wait for the examples. Okay, so iku kuru becomes mairu, which becomes mairimasu. So it's conjugated just like a normal godan verb. For those of you who don't remember, godan verb is the 5-tiered hiragana chart. So for do verbs, it's da, di, do, de, do. The dictionary form is at do, and you move up to di, the e column, and add mas for the mas, the future present tense. So mairimasu. For taberu and nomu, we have itadaku, which also conjugates just like a godan verb. Itadakimasu. Itadakimasu. You probably have heard that one because it's used before every single meal. Before people eat, they always say itadakimasu. So that's a place you're going to hear it all the time. But it is also used in the place of eat and drink in extra modest expressions. For suru, we get itasu, which is itashimasu. So this is also used for suru verbs. So for example, benkyou itashimasu, itashimasu. You becomes mosu, so moshimasu. You've probably heard this one in introductions before. Aru is also oru. So this is actually wrong. Gozaru. Sorry. This should be changed. I knew we missed something. Gozaru becomes gozaimasu. Are? Chotto matte. Is that right? Now I'm questioning myself, guys. It's a good start. Yeah, it's gozaimasu. So the last one was correct. Okay, so that was wrong. So aru is gozaru, which becomes gozaimasu. So this is the one that is conjugated a little bit differently. It's not a godan verb, so it's the ru becomes i. So gozaimasu. Te iru becomes te oru, which becomes te orimasu. So the oru is the same oru as if we go back here. The iru becomes orimasu, right? So te iru becomes te oru becomes te orimasu. And des is degozaru, but in modern Japanese, it's always just degozaimasu. Degozaimasu. So you hear this when you're calling someone on the phone, like a company, and they'll answer the phone and they'll say, Yuki Tomosh, what's the company name? Ameti de gozaimasu or something like that. When they name the company, they're going to be using de gozaimasu in place of des. Informal business situations. Other than that, you're not really going to be hearing it, and you probably won't use it anytime soon. But you will probably use some of these other ones. So let's go over some example sentences to show you how you might. Sorry. All right, so our first sentence is itte mairimasu. Now, this is one that I used quite frequently at my old company because, for example, when we go to kate homon, which is parents' visits, or it was like parent-teacher conferences, but we would go to their house. So when I was leaving the company to go to the people's house, what I would say in the staff room before I left would be, instead of ittekimasu, which you've probably learned already, which is when you're leaving your house, this is the much more polite version of that. And it's itte mairimasu is what we often used at my company. Now, benkyou itashimasu, I use the kanji here. You don't have to use the kanji, but you can. So I've used it, and I haven't used it in some other sections as well. So just so you know, this is the kanji for itashimasu. I will study. Benkyou itashimasu. So once again, this is pushing yourself down, so you're speaking about your own activities respectfully to the people around you. So you're speaking very modestly of your actions, your own actions. So benkyou itashimasu. You're not going to say someone else benkyou itashimasu. You're using this for yourself. Ie ni orimasu. I am in my home. Ie ni orimasu. I am in my home. Neko de gozaimasu. It is a cat. Now, if you're saying it's a cat, you're probably just going to be using this. But you can say de gozaimasu to be very, very modest in pointing out that there is a cat. Neko de gozaimasu. All right. So this is actually, I was just giving you the example. Kate homon ni itte mairimasu. I will go to home visits and come back. This is the exact phrase I used very frequently every year. Kate homon ni itte mairimasu. I will go to home visits and come back. The next sentence is chicken mo itadaite orimasu. I'm eating chicken. So this is how you would use that itadakimasu to say I'm eating with the te oru form. So we combined those two. We get like a double modest expression. Chicken mo itadaite orimasu. I am eating chicken. This is the kanji for itadaku. Now, some words will have more formal, what am I looking for? You can add honorifics before certain nouns, like hom takes go. Go hom ga takusan gozaimasu. There are, or I have, many books. Go hon ga takusan gozaimasu. There are many books. So the book, when you're using these, this is an honorific. These are extra modest expressions or humble expressions or honorifics, when you have nouns that often do take these honorific prefixes like o and go, you usually will use them. Gohon is a good example of that. 社長のおっしゃる通りにいたします. I will do exactly as you, or 社長, says. So, おっしゃる means say, he's saying it. 通り, 言う通り means exactly as someone says. おっしゃる通りにいたします. So you'll remember おっしゃる is the honorific way to say you. So 社長 said it, so we're going to use the honorific because it was 社長. おっしゃる通りに, and then we're going to use the extra modest expression to speak of what we're going to do. いたします. So that's how you sort of split those out. You're using honorifics to speak of the person above you, and you're using extra modest expressions to speak of your own action. So his action was おっしゃる, and my action is いたします. Do. So I will do exactly as 社長 says. So that's really the only difference here. So you just need different verbs when you're talking about what someone else is doing versus what you're doing. And these ones are for what you're doing, which is why you'll actually be using them from time to time because, for example, when you meet someone for the first time, you may want to start super humble, especially, for example, they're the president of your new company or something. You may want to be using いたします in place of する, 参ります in place of 行く, いただく, いただきます in place of drink and eat. And for example, when you're introducing yourself, a very common way to introduce yourself, if we go back up to you, is アンディと申します. So you wouldn't say アンディという if you're introducing yourself to your company president or just in a company in general. Like if you're just at a company meeting. For example, this year at the beginning of the year, I went to the high school I go to twice a week and I had to introduce myself. So I didn't introduce myself as アンディです, which I could have because, well, I'm me, but I introduced myself as アンドリューと申します. And then I spoke about what I was doing before I was in the high school using these forms. For example, 4年間幼稚園で働いておりました. No, I can't remember what I said exactly. But if I was telling someone that I work at a high school, I would say 高校に働いております. 働いております. So I would use that when describing myself to people I don't know at all, or new coworkers or people way above me in a company, or just in general. So you will use these sometimes. Generally speaking, you can get by with just mas forms though. But do know you'll probably use them sometimes. So let's go ahead and jump into the dialogue. We've got a trainer and Ando-san. So the trainer says, いらっしゃいませ. Tokini Jimu no Yuki to moshimasu. So Yuki is using 申します. She's using, I don't usually explain these yet. Right. Good start, buddy. いらっしゃいませ. Tokini Jimu no Yuki to 申します. 皆さんのトレーニングをお手伝いいたします。ジムに入りたいんだけど、かしこまりました。では、受付はこちらでございます。はい、どうも。上に参ります。Full speed. いらっしゃいませ。時にジムのゆきと申します。皆さんのトレーニングをお手伝いいたします。ジムに入りたいんだけど、かしこまりました。では、受付はこちらでございます。はい、どうも。上に参ります。Alright, there's a reason for that elevator. いらっしゃいませ。時にジムのゆきと申します。皆さんのトレーニングをお手伝いいたします。So, welcome. いらっしゃいませ. Come in is also another use for this. You'll hear it at convenience stores all the time, any store you're ever at. I'm Tokini Gym's Yuki. Tokini Gym no Yuki to 申します. So, here's our extra modest expression. 申します. I will help. お手伝いいたします. I will help with everyone's training. ジムに入りたいんだけど I want to join the gym. So the customer does not need to use honorifics or They don't need to use extra modest expressions, and they almost never will. They'll probably just use this kind of basic dictionary form stuff. Sometimes Moss forms. Some people are a little bit more polite than others, but a lot of times you'll be at the store and it'll sound like people are talking a little bit rough to customer service and to clerks and whatnot, but that's just how it is. Kashikomarimashita. Absolutely. では、受付はこちらでございます. So, でございます once again is a modest expression. Absolutely. Well then, registration is over here. はい、どうも. Okay, thanks. 上に参ります. Going up. So, this is what elevators say when they're going up. They use extra modest expressions. 上に参ります. Going up. I hear this every day when I go to the gym, so I thought it would be fun to throw it in here while Ando-san is at the gym. 上に参ります. Going up. So you will hear these lots, and you will use them from time to time. So I have a question. What will you do tomorrow? 僕は仕事に参ります. I will go to the gym. So try to use some of these verbs. I'll pop them back up on screen. We've got 仕事に参ります. What will you do tomorrow? Please try using one of these extra modest verbs. We've got, おります, 参ります, いただきます, いたします. You're not going to be using 申します, I don't think, unless you're going to be telling someone something tomorrow. ございます, you're probably not going to use either, but maybe ております or でございます. Those are the things I'd like you to try and use for the question, what will you do tomorrow? And if you have any other questions about anything else, I imagine that might have been a little bit confusing. I don't feel like the explanation went quite as well as I was hoping for, but if you have any questions, please let me know in the chat, and we'll be good to go. And now I know the kanji for 久しぶり. Sweet! 久しぶりの便利でよく使う言葉だね。は、便利で、確かにそうですね。山に参ります。いいですね。Come to Japan. いいな。Oh, Info Abroad! Don't ask why. Maybe for snacks. Thank you. Thank you very much, Info Abroad. Appreciate that. Yuki, we still haven't been able to figure out how Yuki can have... Hey.
Don't ask why. Maybe for snacks? Thank you! やったー！ありがとう！
ありがとうございます。おせんべい買います。She says, we'll buy some せんべい。せんべいを買いに参ります。買いに参ります。We'll go buy せんべい。Thank you, thank you, thank you. Alright. Appreciate that. So what did I miss? Hit that like button, everyone. Helps more people Yes. Okay, I already read that. Ohayo Risa Zarlan. Nihongo wakaranai. I guess I already read that too. I think gozaru was used a lot in dororo. Assumed it was old Japanese. Yes. So one thing that I didn't mention is that gozaru, it's not really used in modern Japanese in the dictionary form, but it was samurai speak. So if you play a game with samurai, they'll probably be saying gozaru, gozaru, gozaru. So like if you were to play, what's that game that was out recently? Ghost of Tsushima. You're going to hear gozaru a lot. Every time there's this, you're going to hear gozaru instead. So if you're going to be playing samurai games, maybe you do want to learn to recognize gozaru a little bit more. But yeah. Oh, Yuki already mentioned that it was a samurai word. Nice. Okay, thanks, Yuki. The cat demands respect because cats rule all. Agreed. Good day, all. Thanks, man. I drove 1,200 kilometers yesterday and today, so I'm tired now. Wow. Otsukare-sama deshita. Everyone is awesome, says Come to Japan. All right. Go info. Message retracted. I missed it. Ashita, uchi de shigoto ga gozaimasu. Oh, good sentence. One on it. That's perfect. That's exactly how you use it. Shigoto ga gozaimasu. I just tipped so we can also see Yuki. We got to get her on stream. We're probably going to have her be on the practice streams going forward. She'll probably just be sitting next to me on the practice streams going forward. Probably not on the main lesson streams, though. But yes, she does come out for tips because she's supposed to read them. And she did just read that one. Look at the hoodie. Get it on the merch store. I'm not wearing a hoodie today. I'm wearing a regular shirt. Ah, Yuki's hoodie, ne? Ah, yeah. Nice. いつもありがとうございます. Oh, I read the same thing about the word washi in old games. Yeah, washi. Some old people will still use it. But yeah, in old games, you're probably going to see washi as well. Moisive, message retracted. 明日、日本語を勉強いたします。いいですね。公園に参ります。Good job, Luis. Excellent. Perfect, guys. Yeah. It's not that difficult. It's just replacing normal verbs with these special verbs. So it's not that difficult. It's just a little weird to know when to use them, I guess, but maybe it's not. Maybe I'm making it more confusing than necessary. 明日先生とお話をでござるつ、Probably can't use that one. 話するつもりでございます I think is what you want there. 先生とお話をするつもりでございますかな先生とYuki's writing it. お願いします。書いてください。Yuki's writing it right now. But yeah, I think you'll want to use the final des needs to be でございます So once again, you're not going to be using the dictionary form of these almost ever. So it'll be the final verb that puts the that brings in the politeness level. So it needs to be that one. I believe Yuki just popped that into chat. Sweet. 明日先生とお話をするつもりでございます. I forgot that I had a request in the Discord. I believe it was Adina to translate the example sentences that people come up with. So I got to remember to do that. Let me go back up to the top. We've got come to Japan with 山に参ります I'm going to the mountain, or I will go to the mountain. 明日うちで仕事がございます One on it said tomorrow I will be working from home, or I will work at home. What else did we have? Fernanda said 明日日本語を勉強いたします Tomorrow I will study Japanese. 公園に参ります said Lewis I will go to the park. 明日先生とお話をでござるつもりです That one was not right because he was trying to say that tomorrow I'm going to talk to my teacher, or I intend to talk to my teacher, but you're going to use the regular dictionary form of suru before つもり and then make des at the end でございます Are we discussing keigo? We indeed are. We started in the last lesson in lesson 19, and now we're doing it again here on lesson 20. We're talking about extra modest expressions, and the next section is going to be about humble expressions, which are a little bit odd, I guess. Some people are confused by them, I feel like. But anyway. ご無沙汰でござる Oh. 久しぶり Yuki just said 久しぶり to Ryuji in samurai speak. お無沙汰でござる お無沙汰でござる Very good. Yay, thanks for translations. No worries. Thank you for requesting it. It's probably a good idea. I probably should have been doing it for a very long time. Guys, I'm really excited for what I've decided to do with the content on Patreon moving forward from Marchish, Aprilish. It's going to be fun. I just wanted to say that because I'm excited about it. All right, so those are good sentences, guys. So our next section is humble expressions. You ready to jump into it? We have a lot to cover tonight, so I'm not going to be taking too much time in between, but if anyone has any questions, I want to get to those before we jump into the next one. So please let me know if you have any questions, and if you have any more sentences that you want to practice, drop them into chat, and I'll be happy to correct them. So I'll give you 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then I'm going to jump into the next section, which is humble expressions. こんばんは。前回と同じ文法ですか？いや、同じではないね。でも、まあ、似てるもんだね。It's not the same, but it's similar. Last week was honorific expressions, which were basically lifting up the person you're speaking about. These were modest expressions, which is pushing yourself down. And the next section is humble expressions, which push yourself down and raise up the person that you're doing something for. So the extra modest expressions also sort of lift up the people that are listening to what you are going to do. That's another part. はい。我は悪いでござる。今回は謙譲語、humble language、謙譲語をやっています。前回は尊敬語でした。それです。So, For those of you who would like to know the Japanese term for what we're about to go over, it's kenjogo. All right. So, kenjogo, humble expressions. Let's get into it. Humble expressions, put yourself down and bring someone else up. That someone else, namely being the person who is the target of your action. That's an important part of this. It can be the person you're speaking to, or it can be the person you did something for who you are telling other people about. So, wait a second. Did I cover something? Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I need to check and make sure I covered something. Yeah, okay. We're good. We're good. We're good. That's this section. I just got totally thrown off. Okay. So, these ones, you put yourself down and you bring the person up that you were doing something for. You bring them up. So it's like pushing yourself down and bringing them up and sort of just opening that space between you two. Now, not all verbs can be humble expressions. Not all of them. So it's important to probably only use ones that you've either heard before or that you'll memorize here. So Genki covers 7 or 8, and I think I cover them all in this lesson. So don't go bothering using random ones that you've never seen before that aren't covered here. For example, you can't use benkyo as a humble expression. You can't. So we're just going to go over a couple here, and those are the ones we're going to be using going forward. There's about 15 or 20 that are in the practice section in this lesson in Genki, and those ones are generally usable. But don't just throw any verb in here. We're going to keep it simple today. So for regular verbs, we're going to use o plus the vimas stem and suru. For suru compounds, we're going to be using o or go, depending on the word, the noun, and suru. So let's look at some examples really quickly, and I'll go into more details as we go forward. So, o aishimasu, I will meet. Now, once again, there's a target to this action. It's not just going to show up on its own like this. There's going to be a person that you meet. And this is pushing you down and lifting that person up. But I'm just going to go over the verbs that we're covering today. So we have oai shimasu, I will meet. Okashi shimasu, I will lend. Okari shimasu, I will borrow. Omochi shimasu, I will hold or I will carry. Now you can see a lot of these are targeted at people. You borrow something from a person. You hold something or carry something for a person. You lend something to a person. You meet with someone. So that's an important aspect of the verbs you're going to be using as humble expressions. That's why benkyou suru, for example, doesn't work. Go shoukai shimasu, I will introduce. Go annai shimasu, I will show you around. These two you're going to hear a lot. Go setsumei shimasu, I will explain. O denwa shimasu, I will call on the phone. Once again, all of these have to do with some kind of interaction between you and another person. So that's a very important aspect about whether or not you can use it as a humble expression, because you're going to be using it where you are the actor. It's always you who are acting, or in some situations, someone who's like your wife or your father or something, like someone who is really close to you family-wise. But generally speaking, it's going to be you doing the action, and it's going to be something for someone else. So let's go over the last 3 verbs covered in this section, and those are itadaku, sashiageru, and ukagao. Once again, these are almost always used in their mas forms, but I'm just giving you the dictionary forms because it's easier to look them up that way. So these are the humble forms of morao, to get or to receive, which is now itadaku. Now remember, itadaku was the modest expression for eat and drink, but it also means morao, so just to get. Ageru means, to give. Sashiageru, that's the humble version of it. Sashiageru. Now, visiting and asking, now that is ukagao. Now, if it's a person, you're asking. Sensei ni ukagaimasu. If it's a place, it means visiting. So, Tokyo ni ukagaimasu. That's the difference there. If it's a person, it's asking. If it's a place, it's visiting. That's how you can tell the difference between the two. Once again, these are all, generally speaking, related to people and interactions between them, whether it's receiving or giving, asking a question. Now, visiting generally means visiting a place where someone resides. So like another company, or not just Tokyo. If you're going to Tokyo for a specific reason to do something for someone, maybe you might use it that way. But like going to someone's house, visiting someone's house, that's when you're going to use ukagaimasu. So let's look at some examples. Once again, there's always going to be another person involved in these. So the first easy examples, they don't necessarily have the person listed, but there would be someone implied at least. So the first one is プレゼントをいただきました. I humbly received a present, probably from someone, right? So it's lifting the person I received the present up from and pushing me down. プレゼントをいただきました. I received humbly a present. プレゼントを差し上げました. I humbly gave a present to someone. The person would generally be listed. So for example, 先生にプレゼントを差し上げました. I humbly gave a present to the teacher. お店に伺います. I humbly visit a store. Once again, お店ね. Mise can take o. So generally, if you're using humble speech or modest expressions or honorific expressions, if a noun can take o or go, you're going to do it. You're going to add it there. So for mise, お店に伺います. This might be, for example, if you're going to visit a store for work, お店に伺います. 先生に伺いました. I humbly asked the teacher. So I pointed this out because お店 is a place. So that means this 伺います means visit. Whereas sensei is a person. So that means I humbly asked the teacher. That's the difference between, it's the same verb, but that's how you can tell the difference. So let's go into some more complicated examples where we actually have people involved. So, お友達にお貸しすることが可能でございます. So this is, the black background and the light blue font. That means that this is not going to show up in Genki, but I felt like I wanted to show you anyway because it's pretty common. And I actually like to use 可能です. So, お友達にお貸しすること. お貸しすること. So this is the humble expression right here. お貸しする. So you can lend it to your friend. That thing is possible. It is possible to lend this to your friend. 可能でございます. So now we have an extra modest expression. So we're combining the two. So I'm telling someone that they can lend this thing to their friend is what's happening here. So here's a book. You can have this book. And you can lend it to your friend if you'd like. お友達にお貸しすることが可能でございます. And I'm keeping myself low. So, I have to use でございます. So, next sentence is 今日のレッスンの内容をご紹介します. You could also say ご紹介いたします if you want to make it even more humble, I guess. No, ご紹介します is actually, it's the humble version. ご紹介します. Yes. You'll notice that last week in the honorifics, we were using になる, o verb になる, or go noun になる. This week it's go noun します and o noun します. And the difference is they're the exact opposites, right? So this one pushes go noun します pushes me down and lifts the person that's listening to me up, whereas o or go noun plus になるlifts the other person way up. It doesn't have anything to do with me, really. It just lifts up their actions. So that's the difference between those two. If you're wondering, 今日のレッスンの内容をご紹介します. I humbly introduce the contents of today's lesson. Should I start the lessons that way from now on? 今日のレッスンの内容をご紹介します. I humbly introduce the contents of today's lesson to you. So in this sentence, you are implied, and I'm pushing myself down. So I'm pushing myself and I'm lifting you up by saying this sentence, and being humble. But I'm going to introduce today's lesson. Next sentence is 先生に語談活用を教えていただきたいです。I want to have my teacher teach me 語談 conjugation. I might be talking to the teacher, or I might be telling people that I want to have the teacher do it for me. Regardless, I'm lifting the teacher up and bringing myself down and using the te morao form. Remember, te morao means to get someone to do something for you, basically, or to have someone do something for you. Well, you can use that in a humble expression by saying te itadaku, te itadakimasu. You cannot use sashiageru for te ageru. You can't do te ageru in humbly. You can't say I do something for someone humbly, because just the idea itself in Japanese is not humble. To do something for someone and to talk about it. Talking about doing something for someone isn't humble. So you can't speak about it humbly saying te sashiageru. Genki is actually very clear about saying that that is not okay. So you can say humbly that you have someone do something for you. Oshiete itadakitai, I want to have my teacher teach me. But you cannot say, I humbly do something for someone else. For example, oshiete sashiageru. You can't say that. That's not okay. Just so you know. Our final sentence here is 社長のお宅に伺いましょう。伺いましょう. I will, or let me, humbly visit 社長's house for you. So this last little section, it shows up ましょう. Using ましょう with humble forms means, please allow me to do this thing for you. It's not like an invitation, but it's humbly offering my assistance. Is basically what using the ましょう form with humble forms is like. So there's actually a couple exercises in the textbook practice. For those of you who have Patreon, I do suggest doing those, where you use the ましょう form with humble expressions to offer your assistance to people, essentially, but being humble about it. So, I will, or let me humbly visit Shacho's house for you. So, depending on the situation here, you may actually be speaking to Shacho. For example, maybe he forgot something at home, and you're telling him, let me go for you. Or maybe you're saying, maybe someone in your company is worried because they did something wrong and they have to go to Shacho's house on a Sunday to wake him up and get his advice on something. And you feel bad for them, so you offer, and they're your superior, so you offer to do it for them. Shacho no otaku ni ukagaimashou. Otaku is a very, very polite way to refer to someone's home. Okay, that was pretty complicated, eh? Let's go ahead and jump into the dialogue. I'll read it slowly once, then at full speed. I'll go over the English, then I'll get to your questions and to question time. So, we're up in the gym. Ando-san is, he's getting inducted into the gym. So let's go ahead and see what Yuki Trainer is saying to him. では、このジムをご案内いたします。はい、よろしくっす。こちらでは3つのメニューがございます。卵コース、ひよこコース、ビーストコースがございます。どちらのコースが良いか伺います。優しいビーストコースがある？ビーストコースは優しくないですが、確認してまいります。Full speed。では、このジムをご案内いたします。はい、よろしくっす。こちらでは3つのコースがございます。卵コース、ひよこコース、ビーストコースがございます。どちらのコースが良いか伺います。優しいビーストコースがある？ビーストコースは優しくないですが、確認してまいります。Alright, let's go over the English. では、このジムをご案内いたします。Now, ご案内します would be fine. It would be humble enough. Very frequently, especially in business situations, people are going to double up the politeness of it. And they're going to change the suru in the humble expression ご案内します to いたします, making it, I don't know, 10 times more humble. I'm not really sure how much more humble it is, but it is very, very common. Probably not necessary, but very, very common to say ご案内いたします as opposed to ご案内します. Well then, I will get you acquainted with this gym. はい、よろしくっす. I'm just using a very colloquial way to say です。よろしくです. Often people just leave out the よろしくっす. Very masculine, I guess. こちらでは3つのメニューがございます. Here we have 3 menus, or we have 3 courses. 卵コース、ひよこコース、ビーストコースがございます。There is the egg course, the chick course, and the beast course. どちらのコースが良いか伺います。I will ask, which course you prefer? So there's our 伺います, and because I'm talking to a person, obviously it means ask. 優しいビーストコースがある? Do you have an easy beast course? ビーストコースは優しくないですが. The beast course isn't easy. That's why it's called the beast course. 確認してまいります. But I'll go and check. てまいる, which is ていく, basically, with an extra modest expression. So we're combining them because all of these things are going to get combined into a big mishmash in reality. Which brings us to our question. What is something that you received recently? アメリカの政府から$600をいただきました. So please tell me something you received. You can use いただく to say you received it from someone using a humble expression, which would mean, you got it. So いただきました, もらいました. What is something you received recently? And if you have any questions, which I'm sure someone does, please let me know in the comments now, and I'll do my best to answer them. How's everyone doing? Hello, I'm from Indonesia. Nishinoya Yu, welcome. Welcome from Japan. Hope you're having a good day. 勉強していない。敬語全然勉強していません。いたすだけしています。That's good. It's a good one to know. いたします。敬語って難しいよね。私もわかんないんだよね。Yuki said, 敬語 is difficult. Really, right? I don't understand it either, is what she said. Most Japanese people don't really get keigo either. Learn to recognize it mostly. Try to be able to use the extra modest expressions when you can in self-introductions and stuff. And that's pretty much all that Genki's aiming for, I think. Being able to use this stuff in self-introductions and being able to recognize it when you hear it. Because you will hear it. If you're trying to apply to a gym or something, they're going to be using this kind of language. If you go to the bank, if you go to the post office, if you go to any store and ask any questions, you're going to be getting this kind of speaking. So you need to get used to recognizing it, mostly. 僕は従業員になるつもりはないんですね. I don't plan on becoming an employee or a worker, so I don't really need it. 文章あげないと思います。わかりました。Better late than never, says Carpe Diem. Carpe Diem! Good to see you. How you doing? Hey, Carpe Diem. 私は、従業員なので頑張ります。従業員かな、ゆきさん。28 likes and 28 viewers. How awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. Hello, Dan and Yuki. This is Carpe Diem. Konnichiwa, Denislav Nakiev. I don't know how to read your last name, but Denislav, welcome to the stream. Yuki is telling Ando-san to bend over and feel the burn. Basically, that's exactly what's happening. Suck it up, Ando-san. I can't explain it well, but literally means perspiration is the base of being samurai, kana? Are? I must have missed something. I'll just let you guys carry on with that. What's the difference between ukagao and mairu? I'm assuming that was mairu, ne? Mairu is just a straight up go. And ukagao means to visit a place, like intentionally to visit for a purpose. Generally for whoever the target of... So like, I probably should have had an example where we go to visit like an office for work. So I have to go specifically to this store to do some kind of thing related to my work. So I have to go there to get a bill, or I have to go there to bring a bill. In those situations, you're visiting the store to do something for that person, and you need to raise that person up because they're a customer and bring yourself down because you're a worker. So you use ukagaimasu. And when you're obviously the way asking a person something, that ukagao is obviously different from mairu, which is to go. Mairimasu is just straight up go. I'm just going. And it only brings myself lower and the listeners lower. I'm not doing it for anyone, necessarily. カナダから手紙をいただきました。いいですね。カナダから手紙をいただきました。one on it. Received a letter from Canada. いいですね。ご意見、具申を強化していただきました。Oh, he received someone's opinion を強化いたしました。That's a difficult sentence. I received permission ご意見具申を強化していただきました。強禁していただきました。強禁していただきました。I had someone's permission given to give my opinion, basically. I think is what that sentence means. Ooh, I don't. Yuki doesn't know either. She can't explain it either. 大体意味わかる? She doesn't know. That's what I think it means. I think it means ギターさん、意見言ってもいいって言われたってことですかね。意見言っていいよって言われたってことですかね。So I think it means he means that he received permission to give his opinion. I think. We'll find out. おはようございます。おはよう、Manuel. Good day. Finally, I catch a live stream. Thanks for all your work. Thank you, Renee. And thanks for stopping by. Appreciate that. I don't know. This lesson might be a little bit ahead of you guys, but I still appreciate you guys stopping by, and you can hang out anyway. Thank you. My Japanese conversations teacher said if you don't use the speech in the office, the boss will scold you. For Japanese people, right? If Japanese people don't use this speech in the office, I don't believe that. Depends on the office. Very much depends on the office. In morning meetings, you need to use this kind of speech. In meetings in general. So in official proceedings, generally this language is used. If you are a teacher and you don't use this language in the office, nobody is going to care at all. They only expect you to speak English. So if you try to speak any Japanese, they're going to be shocked. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try. I tried when it was during meetings or during morning meetings. I tried to use this language as much as I could, but I was certainly not scolded when I failed at that ever. Now, if you work at a crappy company or maybe a tech company where you're the only foreigner and you're held to the exact same standards as everyone around you, which is rare, but it could happen, then that may happen. It may happen. But I've never experienced that. And I never experienced, like, in just the day-to-day stuff in the office, most people aren't using this language with each other. Towards customers, if you're not using this language, then yes, definitely. Then definitely you need to be using this language. Once again, I didn't have to. I still tried when I could. But it was not expected of me at all. But yes, Japanese people, if they don't use this language towards customers, they're probably going to get in some trouble. 山積みした宿題をいただきました。大変ですね。Michael received a giant pile of homework. Giant pile of homework. わかる。敬語はちょっと文語の方はいいであるよ。Yeah, you don't really use it that much in written language, but yeah. I don't think that's what you're asking, but yeah. To call upon someone somewhere or to ask someone for something or God for a miracle. Oh, that you're talking about your sentence up above. Oh, okay. 同僚から、花瓶をいただきました。いいですね。Were there any flowers in it, or was it just a vase? So Lina received a vase, a flower vase, I suppose, from her coworker. 愚信という初めてのお言葉教えていただきました。愚信。Offering a full report to a superior. さようでございます。なるほどね。目上の人などに意見などを詳しく申し述べるってことかな。I was just being facetious. Gotcha. So that was about 伺う。伺うってこと。なるほどね。へえ、そんなんだ。ありがとうございます。ギタイ、he's probably knows this stuff way better than Yuki or I when it comes to 敬語。誰と話してたのマイクル。ギタイさんね。いや、ギタイじゃなく、マイクルじゃなくてギタイ。Yuki was saying Michael, but she meant ギタイ。Go in! Alright, guys, good job. That's the end of the hard parts of this lesson. The hard parts of this lesson are finished. Everything that's left is just very simple. Not simple, but straight up grammar points that you can use right away, anytime. No problems. There are not any complicated ideas like keigo. We're done with keigo, I think. Is there more next week? I can't remember. I can't remember what's in lesson 21. But anyway. Is it fine to use this about someone close, like family, or is it weird? It would be weird to use this when you're talking about your family. You have to be kind of careful with keigo too, in my opinion. Not you, but if someone close to you uses keigo directed at you, that's actually a very, it's like sarcasm, and it can actually be very biting. So that one over there has had arguments with one of her sisters, and her sister ended the argument by just going full keigo. And it's actually very, how should I put it? Very aggressive. So you don't really want to use keigo with your family members, or talking about your family members. So no, not okay. Because it could be translated as sarcasm, I suppose. Doesn't matter. You don't usually talk about your family using these kind of forms. Use regular language with your family. You say that, but I called my boss Omae-san after playing too much Sekiro. Oh God. And how did your boss respond, Gitai? 間違えちゃった。ごめん says Yuki-chan. Gitai, 大変失礼いたしました。誠にありがとうございました。So you need to learn keigo to insult others? Yes, that's the only way you're going to be using it often. If you want to have an argument, and yeah, maybe I need keigo after all, says Ryuji. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it can be used as, there's no real sarcasm in Japanese. There is, but it's not the same as English sarcasm. It's just English sarcasm does not translate into Japanese. He laughed, LMA. Exactly. You use random rough language and people are just gonna generally laugh about it. Sort of just get away with it. Anyway, I've heard that double respective like keigo means rudeness. Is this true? Double respective? I don't know what you mean by double respective. Can you give me an example? I'm almost done with Akiko's foreign exchange. I only have 25 articles left. I feel like dancing. Otsukare-sama desu. I feel like I've heard of Akiko's foreign exchange. I don't remember what it is, though. Is it like a book? Akiko's foreign exchange. Oh, it was on Satori Reader. Okay. Okay. That's where I've seen it before. I haven't read that one yet. Nice. I've heard that double respective. Yeah. You have to give me an example of that because I'm not sure. All right, guys. So it's already 10 o'clock and we have 4 sections to fly through. So, like key. I've heard that double respective like keiko means rudeness is. Kisama? Kisama, the word is just, it means it's a disrespectful word, but it wasn't always. Kisama a long time ago didn't mean you bastard. It meant it was a very respectful word a long time ago. So I don't know if it's because it's double respect words that it's rude. That word just is rude. That's all. So some words just are rude. Like omai is not always rude. Depends on the context, as many things do. Kisama, never use it unless you're really angry at someone, I guess. I wouldn't use kisama. You're going to hear it in anime all the time. That's it. Tondemonai de gozaimasu. I think it also mostly anime language these days. Yeah, pretty much. Unless someone's really, 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 really angry at someone way below them. Hai, Yuki de gozaimasu. 何ですか？
私だね、ごめん。ダブルリスペクティブは私がさ、よく間違えちゃう。あれ、なんだっけ、
ご案内いたしますじゃなくて、
そうとか、
はいはい。
ご案内いたします。
じゃなくて、
そうご案内いたしますとか、よろしければお伺いいたしますみたいな。
ああ、それは間違えてるのダブルリスペクト。だけどそれは失礼ではないよね。
まあ確かにね。そう。
多分多分リーが聞いているのはそれじゃないかな。そうだから聞きました。ダブルリスペクトはそれかなって思ったんだけど、それじゃなくて多分こうみたいな言葉の話なのかな。でも違うみたい。なるほど。So what Yuki thought you meant was things like which many Japanese people make a mistake where they take for example お伺いいたします。お伺います。Ukagaimasu is already in humble form, but many Japanese people will say something like お伺いいたします, which is incorrect. It's actually incorrect. Many people do it, but it's a verb, 伺います. But for some reason, people mistake that, Japanese people all the time, and will say things like お伺いいたします, which is incorrect. You don't take お伺い, which is the mas stem of 伺いします, and then add いたします to it. It's just over politeness. It's too polite, and it's actually grammatically incorrect. But Japanese people use it all the time, so it's good to be aware of that stuff. But that's what we thought you meant by double respective, and I don't think that is what you meant, or that's what she thought you meant by double respective, and I don't think so what you meant. But I don't know any rude Japanese words. New video, I could do something like that. I don't use many, but I'm sure I could dredge up some from my memories. Learning how to curse would be interesting, not like too rude though. You can't really curse. There's not really cursing in Japanese like we have cursing. There's no words that are like not allowed in Japanese. Like we have words in English that if I were to say right now in the stream, it would immediately be demonetized. The stream would immediately be demonetized. I think your streams get demonetized just for saying demonetized. But if I were to say certain words, swear words in English, the stream would immediately be demonetized. But there's no words like that in Japanese, except for maybe shinu, which is to die. That word recently is sort of rude, I guess, and is sort of not censored, but no, there's no words in Japanese. Like even kids, there's no words that kids can't really say. A lot of it's contextual and tone on whether or not it's rude. There are some very rude words, so I shouldn't say that. There are some rude words, but they're not swear words like we have in English. So, but it's still something we could cover sometime. There's quite a few videos out there that do cover it, so I've never watched any of them. So I guess I don't know if there really are or not. There might not be. I've never searched. I'll take a look, and if there's nothing good out there, maybe I'll make one. As if I have time. Renee, Tokini Andy, I am a beginner in Japanese. In Germany, the Japanese books are quite expensive. Genki 1 is 55 euros, close to 70 euros. 55 pounds, close to 70 euros. Mina no Nihongo is less than half of that. Should I save or go for Mina no Nihongo? So the difficulty with Mina no Nihongo is that there's no explanations in English in the book. It's 100% Japanese, and it's just a lot of examples. I didn't like Mina no Nihongo as a solo studying book very much. If you're taking a class that covers Mina no Nihongo, it's fine. But if you're trying to learn Japanese on your own, Mina no Nihongo might not be the best bet. you don't necessarily need to get a textbook. Like if you can't afford a textbook, you can, for example, just use these videos and learn quite a bit. And there's lots of websites out there that can help you and lots of other channels on YouTube that can help you. And you can get quite far without the actual textbook in your hand. The textbook is great if you're solo studying and you want to have more exercises and stuff like that and have some, not depend on videos or having a computer in front of you to look up how to say something and to learn grammar points, but it's not 100% necessary. So if you're a little short on money, I would suggest not buying any textbook yet and just using what you can on YouTube. Yeah, but some people like Mina no Nihongo. I don't think it's great for self-study, but maybe that's just me. I learned a new rude Japanese word. It's kichigai, madman. Is that like baito keigo? Polite Japanese is used by young. Yeah, I guess it is sort of like that. That might be something that it's called. I've never heard that word before, but it's very possible. I just checked it, and it looks like maybe. It's so polite, it's physically painful. But you hear characters in Sonic the Hedgehog using that. Kuso. Yeah, kuso is one that people bring up as a curse word in Japanese. If you were to say it in English, it would probably be translated something like damn it or shit. But it's not like that because most parents would get angry at their child if they said that. But little kids say kuso all the time. It's more just like it's like the same circuit in your brain that's using it. You know how there's research out there that says cursing in English actually, what is it? It activates like problem solving circuits in your brain or something? Or is it the one where it's like you hit an obstacle, so your brain uses that to it can actually help you solve problems? It's the same idea, but it's just not demonized in Japanese. So anyone could say it, and people say it all the time. So it's similarly used, but it doesn't have the same weight. Kind of getting derailed. LOL. Yes. Okay. Very derailed. What time? What is time? Good point. We're getting derailed. Thanks, Dan. Limit 55 euros, close to $70. Gotcha. Does Sonic the Hedgehog speak? Has anyone used Japanese for busy people? I haven't, but I know some people have. Oh, yes, I spent $70. Thanks for, yes. One day I'll make it less than 20. Hi, Andy Chat. Philip. Hello. We'll see you here one day. eBay is a good idea. Not in the old Genesis games, but some of the 3D ones have voicing. Yes, voice acting, yes. YouTube is a goldmine for knowledge. Agreed. Think that's what they call the keigo that young baito workers use that isn't 100% correct, just used because it's easy. Could be. Or because they've heard it a million times, so they just sort of repeat what they've heard other young people saying at the restaurant that they're working at. What about buta? I heard that in some anime. Buta just means pig. So I guess that could be used as an insult. Depends on what the situation is. All right, guys. It's getting late. So let's go ahead and move on to without doing. So without doing, what this is going to be used for is I'm going to do B without doing A. So without doing this thing right here, here's my main action. So we take the negative stem of a verb. For example, the negative stem of taberu, which is to eat, is tabe. And then you add nai de, main action. Nai de, main action. Now I have de marked in black here because it's kind of like just taking the negative of a verb and then adding and. De as in and. It's pretty much just that. Some people like to think of it as tabenai de, the command, tabenai de, but it isn't quite that. The de here is more like the and de that connects two sentences together. So it's probably better to think of it that way, and that's why I've used the black coloring here. So you take the negative of the verb plus de, or you can think of it as the negative stem plus nai de, whichever one you prefer. Whichever one makes it easier for you to remember this, but what this means is without doing this, I do this. So let's look at some examples. Tabenai de neru. To sleep without eating. Nenai de shigoto ni iku. Go to work without sleeping. Shigoto ni ikanai de okane wo kasegu. Earn money without going to work. So this is one of our black background blue font words, which means it doesn't show up in Genki. But I like this word. It's very common. It means to earn. To earn something, generally money, kasegu. So, shigoto ni ikanai de okane wo kasegu. Earn money without going to work. Some more complicated sentences. We have 勉強しないで日本語を上達したいな. I want to get better at Japanese without studying. 上達 means to get better at something. So 勉強しないで日本語を上達したいな. I want to get better at Japanese without studying. Not really. I like studying, but some people might feel that way. So I made the sentence. ジムに行かないで痩せたい. I want to lose weight without going to the gym. 痩せたい means to lose weight. ジムに行かないで痩せたい. I also like going to the gym, so that's not me making that sentence, although I did write the sentence. 遠慮しないで質問をしてください. So this is another way it can be used. Every single sentence before this was talking about myself. ジムに行かないで痩せたい. So I want to lose weight without going to the gym. This sentence is talking to someone else. And this is actually a very common word. It means 遠慮しない, don't hesitate. 遠慮しないで without hesitation. 質問をしてください. Please ask any questions. So this is talking to someone else, which is a way you might use this. 遠慮しないで質問をしてください. Please ask any questions without hesitation. So you could think of this as without doing something, do this. It's a very useful little grammar point. Here's a nice long dialogue. I'll read it slowly once, then at full speed we'll have question time and I'll get to your questions and we'll just truck on along. お待たせいたしました。少し優しくすることができるそうです。はい、よろしくっす。ちなみに、レグデーはしないで、足を鍛えたいんだけど、レグデーは嫌だ。なるほど。そして、ランニングしないで痩せたい。なるほど、なるほど。あと、ごめん。なるべく筋トレをしないで筋肉を増やしたい。かしこまりました。Full speed. お待たせいたしました。少し優しくすることができるそうです。はい、よろしくっす。ちなみに、レグデーはしないで足を鍛えたいんだけど、レグデーは嫌だ。なるほど。そして、ランニングしないで痩せたい。なるほど、なるほど。あと、ごめん。なるべく筋トレをしないで筋肉を増やしたい。かしこまりました。Let's go over the English really quick. We've got またお待たせいたしました。Sorry for making you wait. 少し優しくすることができるそうです。We can make it a little easier, it seems. はい、よろしくっす。Okay, please do. ちなみに、by the way, レグデーはしないで or レグデーをしないで足を鍛えたいんだけど By the way, I want to work out my legs without doing leg day. But レグデーはやだ。レグデーはやだ。I don't like leg day. なるほど。I see. そして、ランニングしないで痩せたい。Also, I want to lose weight without running. なるほど、なるほど、なるほど。I see, I see. あと、also, ごめん。なるべく、as much as possible, 筋トレをしないで筋肉を増やしたい。I'd like to increase my muscle without lifting weights. 筋トレ means to lift weights or weight training. Muscle training is really what it literally translates to, and 筋肉 is muscle. 増やす means to increase. So, なるべく筋トレをしないで筋肉を増やしたい。Also, sorry, as much as possible, I'd like to increase my muscle without lifting weights. かしこまりました. As you wish. This is a very polite way to say I can do that for you. I don't think the trainer's too excited about it. Question time. What do you wish you could skip doing but still achieve results as if you hadn't skipped it? I'm using the sentence from before. 勉強しないで日本語を上手くなりたいです。That's not true. I like studying, but 勉強しないで日本語を上手くなりたいです。So that's my example. What's something that you would like to achieve, but no? What is something you wish you could skip doing but still achieve results as if you hadn't skipped it? That's the question for this section. And please feel free to ask any questions you have on this section before we jump onto the next section, which is questions within sentences. We're going to get onto that pretty quickly because it's already 10:20 and I know you guys are sleepy because you just woke up. So I don't want to keep you too long. Please don't say kichigai to anyone. Yes. Probably not a great idea. Yeah, it's like the R word and yeah, something like that. You can say that word to me, I don't mind, says Gitai. I would not dare to. Yuki, check it out, Gitai. Cat, haha. Doesn't look like we have any questions yet. 今年、字幕を読まないでアニメを見たいな。That's a good sentence, Manuel heard. So, the only difference is you want to say 読まないで. Yeah, leg day is leg day. 何ですか? 7 is, yeah, leg day. It's katakana English. So it's basically leg day. We just refer to days where we train our legs as regu day. I don't know if everyone does that, but it's sort of Tokini Japanese, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, it doesn't look like it shows up, but we're going to make it popular. Don't worry. 漢字を習わないで日本語を読めます。いいですね。You'll probably want to use になる for most of these. So, for example, 読める、うまくなる、読めるようになる。We haven't covered that yet. 読めるようになりたいです。We haven't covered that yet. That's going to be much later. Okay, never mind. That's fine. You could say 読みたいです might be a better way to phrase that. 漢字を習わないで日本語を読みたい would probably be the best way to make that sentence with what you've got to work with at the moment. 宿題をしないで卒業したいんですね. So one minute sentence back to that. Without studying or, without studying, I guess, kanji wants to read Japanese. And Michael is 宿題をしないで without doing homework wants to graduate. Manuel heard. すごい。私は英語目次をまだつけています。And 読まないで is better. Thank you. K-pop を聞かないで韓国語を上手くなりたいです。I feel like that's possible. I feel like that's very possible. And I sympathize with your desire there. たくさん寝ないで元気になりたいです。I think you probably want to say you want to stay Genki. How would you say that? Genki no mama ni tsuzuketai kana? Tsuzukitai. But anyway, you just want to say たくさん寝ないで元気になりたい with what you've got so far. Hey, Andy. I was reading and I see a sentence that ends with 言った. No quote or anything before the sentence, but there's a quote after it. It depends on the context. You'll have to, I'm not sure. What does that mean? Sorry for the vagueness. Yeah, I can't tell you that with the vagueness. You'll have to throw that up in the Discord because without the whole thing, I can't answer it. And I probably don't have time tonight on the stream to answer the full sentence if it's from Kiki because it's probably pretty long and I'll probably have to think about it. 払わないで撮れるカメラのスポンサーが欲しいです。いいですね。I hope you can find one. ハン。おはようかな？おはようだよね。ハンちゃん。そう、ハン。Han, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Good morning. Very early morning, I expect. うまく is an adverb. うまくなりたい. Yeah. うまい is the adjective. To turn an adjective into an adverb, you change the e to ku. And to use naru, to become an adjective. So we covered, I can't remember what lesson we covered this in. It was a few lessons ago. It might have even been the end of Genki 1. I can't remember for sure. But you change the adjective, the e adjective, to ku. So umaku naru. Become that thing, or become good at in this case. So yes, but literally the adverb umaku is modifying naritai, become, want to become. But it's a grammatical structure. Umaku naru. Tanoshiku naru. Become fun. samuku naru, become cold, like that. So one of those trail cam vids was quite comfy. I'm not sure how I missed that mistake, but thank you. You're very welcome. So niku means muscles and or meat. Kinniku ne. Kinniku. If we go back up here, it's a very important difference. Kinniku means muscle. Kinniku. Niku is just meat. So like, this is kinniku. I mean, yes, it is niku. If I were to take it out of my body, it's niku. But in my body, it's kinniku. Oh, it's a new book that's there. Okay, yep. Throw that sentence up in there. I'm not sure exactly. Can one join the Discord without being subbed Patreon member? Absolutely. I believe there is a link in the description of this video to the Discord. You can jump on there without being a patron, of course. Hayai ne. Tashikani, guess I joined then. Thanks. Yay. Thanks. Okay, I think we're good. Nanimo shinai de, 順風満帆の順風満帆の生活を生きたい。大丈夫だよね。大丈夫だよね。はい。But you need to change it to 何もしないで。So you don't need the で。何でもしないでじゃなくて、何もしないで純白満帆の生活を生きたい。So what they said is, I want to have smooth sailing, live a life of smooth sailing without doing anything. That's what that sentence means. All right. ディスコードから見たで聞きのセリフが難しそうわけです。見たら I think he wants 見たらディスコードに見たらディスコードを見たら聞きのセリフが難しそうですねかな But yes, the dialogue is a little bit more difficult than I expected. はかどるという意味だね。はかどる順風満帆 is はかどるって意味。なるほどね。There's Hakadoru again, the one that no high schoolers can read. Love it. Great place to ask all sorts of Japanese. Indeed it is. All right, guys. So, good job. Those are some good sentences. Next, we're going to be moving on to questions within sentences. Now, open-ended questions with question words like dare or doko or nani, they use a short form of a verb plus ka. So that's the question marker. And then whatever you're going to modify that question with. So you'll have a question. That's your question in the sentence. And then you modify it with something else. We'll show you in the example sentences. But open-ended questions with question words. Short form ends the sentence plus ka, which is the question marker. And then you modify that directly. Now with yes or no questions, you need to use this. Kadoka. Short form kadoka. And then you modify it with whatever the modification is. You'll have to see the example sentences to see what I mean by modification, but just know that yes or no. Great. We good? Okay, looks like we're back. Stream died for a second, guys. Sorry about that. I think... Okay, we're back. So, don't know if we had some internet dropping off there. But anyway, what I was saying is that yes or no questions take kadoka. But I think I talked about everything else already. Hopefully I did. Yes or no questions take kadoka, but in conversation, sometimes they're just shortened to ka. So, all you really need is ka plus the modification, but yes or no questions technically take kadoka. Okay. So, hopefully we're good to go and you didn't miss anything. Hopefully I went over that whole explanation. Maybe I should do it one more time just in case. You know what? I'll just do it one more time just in case. Sorry if you're watching in the replay and I already did this explanation. Okay, so questions within sentences. So you can modify questions directly within sentences. So if you ask a question like, I don't know where he was, or do you know where he was yesterday? No, that's just a straight question. I need to look at my example sentences. Anyway, if you want to modify questions in some way, you take the short form for both of these, for whether it's an open-ended question with question words or a yes or no question, and you add ka for open-ended questions with question words like nani, dare, or doko, and then you modify it. Or for yes or no questions, kadoka plus a modification. Now, by modification, to show you what I mean by that, we'll have to jump down into the example sentences to get you an idea of that. So, 食べたかどうか思い出せません. I can't recall if I ate. So, 食べたかどうか, whether or not would be another way to translate かどうか, whether or not. I ate, I can't recall. 食べたかどうか思い出せません. Now, in conversation, often this どうか part will be dropped. So, 食べたか思い出せません is also a perfectly fine way to say this in a conversation. Technically, it's supposed to be かどうか, but in conversation, those last three characters are often dropped. Now, you cannot use かどうか for non-yes or no questions. So this one, 何を食べたか思い出せません. I can't recall what I ate. So if you're using question words like what, where, who, when, you can't use かどうか, you just use か. So 何を食べたか, what I ate, 思い出せません. I can't recall what I ate. やるかどうか, whether or not I will do it, 早く決めてください. やるかどうか、早く決めてください. Whether or not you will do it, please decide quickly. Please quickly decide whether or not you will do it. So, Genki refers to this, and I referred to this in the beginning, as a question within a sentence. A better way to think of it might be as whether or not, or just what. Depending on the situation here. Whether or not is with かどうかね, かどうか. The か marker, 食べたか is more of a question. But anyway, 安藤さんかどうかわからない. I don't know whether or not it's 安藤さん. 安藤さんかどうかわからない. So I see someone over there. Is that 安藤さん? So someone asks you a question. Is that 安藤さん? 安藤さんかどうかわかんない. Or if it's more conversational, 安藤さんかわかんない. I don't know whether or not it's 安藤さん. どこが一番素敵か教えてください. Please tell me which or where is the nicest place. So the question within this sentence is, where is the nicest place? And what I want you to do is, please tell me. So the modification here is 教えてください. And what's the question? どこが一番素敵 is the question. Where is the nicest place? That's what the question is. In this last sentence, the question is it Ando-san? And the answer to that is, I don't know. Ando-san ka douka, whether or not it is Ando-san, I don't know. Yuki ga nan sai ka wakaranai. So, how old is Yuki? Wakaranai. Yuki-san ga nan sai ka wakaranai. I don't know how old Yuki is. The question here is, how old is Yuki? Yuki ga nan sai ka wakaranai. Some more complicated sentences. We've got 誰がどこに行くかわかる? 先生が知りたいって. So here's a situation you might use it in. 誰がどこに行くかわかる? So if you've got a question word like 誰 or どこ, you're not going to be using かどうか. You know it's not a yes or no question already. You need to know who or where. Where do you know who will go where? 誰がどこに行くかわかる? Teacher said they want to know. 先生が知りたいって。何をするか早く決めないとチャンスが逃してしまうよ。何をする The question is 何をするか早く決めないとチャンスが逃してしまうよ。If you don't decide what you're going to do soon, you'll completely, regrettably, miss your chance. 逃す means to miss something, to let it go. to let it go by. 何をするか早く決めないとチャンスを逃してしまう。行きたいかどうか本当にわからないな。I really don't know whether or not I want to go. I'm trying to think of a better way to just explain this ka. Kadoka is pretty straightforward. It's whether or not. The ka on its own is more of like a, well, it just marks the question. Nani o suru ka? Someone asks you, what are you? It makes a little bit more sense if there's a question. So if there's a questioner and they say, what are you going to do tomorrow? Ashita nani o suru? Then it makes more sense because then you can say, nani o suru ka? Wakaranai. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, for example. And then maybe in this situation, this person said, ne, nani suru? And then maybe I said, nani o suru ka wakaranai. That's what I said. And then the response was, nani o suru ka hayaku kimenai to chance ga nogashite shimau yo. If you don't decide what you're going to do soon, you'll completely, regrettably miss your chance. So it makes sense within a conversation when to use this ka. If someone asks you a question and you're responding with, I don't know the answer to that question, or you are modifying that question in some way, then you're going to be using this. All right, let's go into the dialogue. We'll speak, I'll go over it slowly one time, then I'll go over full speed, we'll go over the English translation, and then I'll get to your questions, and we'll do question time. So, trainer, 朝ごはんは何を召し上がりますか？何を食べるか決めていないな。普段何を召し上がっていらっしゃいますか？ Excuse me. あ、普段？今からの話だと思った。もう午後3時ですよ。うん。これ終わったら朝ごはんを食べに行こうと思っている。ラーメンを食べるかどうか決められない。オフ。では、トレーニングに参りましょう。Full speed。朝ごはんは何を召し上がりますか？何を食べるか決めていないな。普段何を召し上がっていらっしゃいますか？あ、普段？今からの話だと思った。もう午後3時ですよ。うん。これ終わったら朝ごはんを食べに行くと思っている。ラーメンを食べるかどうか決められない。おふ。では、トレーニングに参りましょう。朝ごはんは何を召し上がりますか？ What do you eat for breakfast? Or what will you eat for breakfast? It's unclear to Ando-san what the context is here. 何を食べるか決めていないな。Huh? I haven't decided what I will eat. So there's a question. What will you eat? 何を召し上がりますか？何を食べるか決めていない。I haven't decided what I will eat. So here's a nice situation where you can see when it makes sense to use this. 普段何を召し上がっていらっしゃいますか？ What are you eating for breakfast normally, regularly? あ、普段 normally? 今からの話だと思った。I thought you were talking about from now. もう午後3時ですよ。It's already 3 p.m., you know. Yeah. これ終わったら朝ごはんを食べに行こうと思っている。Yeah, I was thinking I'd go and eat breakfast after this finishes. ラーメンを食べるかどうか決められない。I can't decide whether or not to eat ramen. That's a yes or no question. Oof, ouch. では、トレーニングに参りましょう。Let's go train. Question time. What is something you cannot make a decision about? 今日、ラーメンを食べるかどうか決められません。I can't decide if I'm gonna eat ramen today or not. I guess I probably shouldn't eat ramen before bed. It's already 10:37 here, but maybe I have decided. ラーメンを食べるかどうか決めました。食べません。So what is something you guys cannot make a decision about? Please let me know. And if you have any questions on this section or anything else, please let me know it in the comments, and I'll try to answer if I can. Hopefully I didn't freeze again throughout that. Oh, I thought that was my internet. Sorry about that, guys. Okairu. Yeah, it doesn't quite ask a question. It's a little weird. Yuki is ageless, so that description from Genki is misleading. Yeah. Kadoka is more of a whether or not. The other one is more of answering a question, I suppose. So the title is a bit weird. Questions within a sentence. It's sort of answering questions within the sentence. It's almost like quoting the question back, but not always. Like, someone doesn't need to ask you a question for you to use that ka. For example, if I were just telling you about my day tomorrow, 明日仕事終わったら何をするか決められない。Like, I might just tell you that for some reason. Tomorrow after work, I can't decide what I'm going to do. So the what I'm going to do is this little sentence within the sentence that I can't decide something about. So it's not so much a question. It's sort of a whether or not. Can anyone think of a good way to explain whether or not for a non-yes or no question? That's the word we're looking for here. Whether or not for a non-yes or no question. However old she is, Yuki is an endless fountain of adorableness. I agree. No freezing. Okay, that's good. まだどんなラーメンを食べるか決められない. Or 決めない is fine, I guess. If you will not decide which type of ramen you're going to eat. But yeah, something like that is perfect. If you want to say you haven't decided yet, you would say 決めていない。まだどんなラーメンを食べるか決めていない。I haven't decided yet. 今日何を何か食べ物を作るかどうか決められない。何の食べ物を is probably what you want to say. Or just 何を作るかどうか. You wouldn't say かどうか there because that's whether or not. So it's a yes or no question. 何か食べ... so then I guess that does work. You can't decide if you're going to make some kind of food or not. 何か食べ物を作るかどうか決められない. Okay, so that actually does make sense. So Han said, I can't decide whether or not I'm going to make some kind of food today. So that makes sense. ダイエットをするかどうか決められません. I can't decide if I'm going to go on a diet or not, is what one of it said. Nice. PS5 を買うかどうか決められない. I can't decide if I'm going to buy a PS5 or not. That's a tough decision. 論文を始めるかどうかわかりません。それとも暗記で。You're talking about today. What you're gonna... You can't decide which one you're gonna start with. それとも暗記で。どっちの方がいいかな? I think you're talking about which one you're gonna start. そう。って言った最初は。論文を始めるか、暗記を始めるか、決められない。It's kind of like the or in that situation. So I don't know if that's quite the same thing, but 論文を始めるか、暗記を始めるか、決められない。どっちの方がいいかな? I can't decide if I should start my ronbun, which is isn't that your like essay or something or thesis, or Anki, my studying my vocabulary in Anki, one or the other. Kachao, says Yuki. Yuki, PS5 欲しいんだっけ? 始めるだと思う。始まるだと思う。
始めるで合ってるよ。
始めるで合ってるよ。始める is correct. いいえ、俺は甘くない。そうなんですか。
ハンはさ、あれだよね。
はいはい。
ベジタリアンなんだっけ?
Yuki's asking if you're a vegetarian, Han. わかんない。どうかな? 多分そうだね。
キムチ鍋にしないよ。
She says if you're a vegetarian, you should make キムチ鍋。でもさ、キムチって大体エビ入ってるよね。
嘘。
そう。
そうなの？
そう。
キムチ?
Most kimchi has ebi in it, doesn't it?
マジか。
So. Hi. Yes, she is. She's saying you should make kimchi nabe. I don't know how strict you are. Kimchi does have shrimp in it, usually. But if you can find some without it, and if you don't care, then she says you should make kimchi nabe. But if you do care, then you have to find some shrimpless kimchi. If I make it myself, there you go. 人生は何をするか決められないの過程です。の過程です。なるほどね。But that's a good one. 人生は何をするか決められない。I'm slowly getting used to flick typing, but still really slow. It's way faster than normal typing if you can get used to it and way more convenient. So definitely worth it. Keep it up. Hey guys, good job. I'm still struggling with the Michael sentence a little bit. I'm trying to think if there's a better way to ask about it. 論文を始めるかどうか決められません。それとも暗記を。Yeah, actually, you could just switch that to o. That would be fine. それとも暗記を。どっちの方がいいかな? That would actually be fine. So just change that day to o and your whole construction would be fine, Michael, now that I think about it. I'm slowly getting used to okay, sweet. All right, guys. We're running really late today. So time to move on to a thing called. This one's a little bit odd, but it's pretty common. So you use this if you think that the person you're talking to, the listener, doesn't know the place you're talking about or the thing you're talking about. Yeah, that's what you need if you're in that situation. So you take the name of a place or a thing or a movie or whatever, and you say という thing, noun. So for example, Andy という YouTuber, a YouTuber called Andy. Basically this という is just being used to mean called. Donki という店, a shop called Donki. Sukiyaki という歌, a song called Sukiyaki. I don't think the song is actually called Sukiyaki. I think Yugi just calls it that. But anyway. Andy という YouTuber を聞いたことがありますか? Have you ever heard of a YouTuber called Andy? I don't know. Donki という店に行ってきました。いろいろありすぎて面白かった. I went to a shop called Donki. It had way too many things and was fun and interesting. So, you're going to use this when basically you're talking to someone and you went to this new place, for example, and you're sure the person has never heard of it, or at least you think they didn't. So, you want to point out that you went to this store, but you also want to mention the name. But if you just said, Donki ni itte kimashita, iroiro arisugite omoshorokatta, the question is inevitably going to come, Donki? So they're not going to know what Donki is. I imagine a lot of you guys do. But anyway, to avoid having that situation where you just say the name of a thing and the person is like, huh? You can use this という construction. So Donki という店に行ってきました. I went to this store called Donki. Or if you were to say, Andy を聞いたことがありますか? There's a lot of Andys in the world. I don't know what you're talking about. So you remedy that by saying という YouTuber. A YouTuber called Andy. So it just means called. So it's very useful for that. Yuki はすき焼きという歌が歌いたいらしい. I hear that Yuki wants to sing a song called Sukiyaki. I don't think the song's actually called Sukiyaki, but that's all I know it by. So, Yuki はすき焼きという歌. So, a song called Sukiyaki. That's it. It just means called. So, you can use it like that. Let's go into the dialogue. I'll read it slowly once, then at full speed. I'll go over the English, then we'll do question time, and I'll get to your questions. Ando-san. さくらというラーメン屋に行こうぜ。お、初めて行くところですね。トキニっていうジム知っている？あ、新しくできたところ？うん、そう。安藤さん、運動できるの？うん。優しいビーストコースっていうトレーニングを始めた。Full speed. さくらというラーメン屋に行こうぜ。あ、初めて行くところですね。Ramen now. トキニっていうジム知っている？あ、新しくできたところ？うん、そう。安藤さん、運動できるの？うん、優しいビーストコースっていうトレーニングを始めた。Let's go with English. さくらというラーメン屋に行こうぜ。Let's go to the ramen shop called Sakura. Ze it means yo. So, yo zo, and ze all are essentially the exact same thing. So it just means the same thing as yo. So in this case, it's like dude or yo or yeah. Sakura というラーメン屋に行こうぜ. Let's go to the ramen shop called Sakura. 初めて行くところですね. So Ando-san made the correct choice. Yuki had never heard of the ramen place called Sakura. 初めて行くところですね. That's a place we will go to for the first time, isn't it? Tokini っていうジム知っている? So I used te. You remember that te can be used in conversation to replace to, you, or to, omo. The te is often used in place of that in conversation, so I'm just pointing out that it can be used in this situation as well. Tokini っていうジム知っている? Do you know the gym called Tokini? 新しくできたところ? That new place? Literally, that place that was newly finished. できたところ? So, yeah, that's it. Ando-san, 運動できるの? You can exercise? 優しいビーストコースっていうトレーニングを始めた. Yeah, I started a training regimen called Easy Beast Course. Oh, yeah. All right. Question time's a little bit different this time. You can ask me any questions you want down in the chat. But what I want you to do is just describe this place. All you need to do is use something something to you something something. So let's see if you can answer these. These are some samples from the textbook practice over on Patreon. So there's 4 or 5 in this section that I just popped out into this lesson because I figured that would be the most useful way to do question time. So any questions you might have, and please describe this store or just name it. So this toyu, what is it? Let's see if you guys know. Watashi mo daigakusei no toki flick ganbatta yo. Went to the 1-year Nagano station, was neat. Sakura? The donkey. Oh yeah. The 1-year Nagano station isn't bad. It's fairly new. There's a really, really big one in Nagano called Mega Donkey, which is it's a ways from the station. It would take a while to walk there. But that one is huge. It's got 2 or 3 floors and lots of different stuff. They're pretty fun. I thought you were talking about the ramen shop called Sakura, which is also near Nagano Station. If any of you are ever in Nagano near the station, I highly recommend going to a ramen shop named Sakura. It's very, very good. きれいになったよね。すき焼き上を向いて歩こう is the song. Yeah, that's the one. 歌ってください. I can't sing it. It is, but Andy doesn't know the song. I don't know it. Yuki can sing. Ohayo, Radclaw. Good morning. I never told him that I want to sing the song. No, I just tease her with that song. 概念は違うと思うんです。概念 general idea, concept, notion. 英語の推測が当たったのにな。すみません。いいよ。あれ? Did I miss something? Maybe you're just answering my question from before. Ando is the most contented wisteria. Indeed he is. おはようございます。上を向いて歩こう。She's singing on 涙がぼれないよ. I don't know the song at all. All I went to in Nagano was the donkey and Zenkoji Kek. And Caesarea. Of course. Family Mart というコンビニ。Lina, ding 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 ding. Sorry, don't know how to spell these. Family Mart というコンビニ. Konbini was dead on. Family Mart was very close. Here's the correct answer. Family Mart というコンビニ. Good job, both of you. All right, excellent. Next one. This is a town. So I'll give you 15 seconds. Wawa というコンビニことがありますか? I think you want to say 行ったことがありますか? アメリカで大きくてたくさん便利なことがあります。ワワが大好きです。ワワのサンドが大好き. I love the sandwiches or the subs at Wawa, but I have a terrible story about Wawa. Wawas are only probably from around Virginia up to the north. There's a lot in Pennsylvania. There's not really any in New Jersey, but I used to really love Wawas when I was in uni in Pennsylvania. And when Yuki and I drove across the country from LA to New York City, 3 years ago. When we hit Virginia, so we went south through Texas and stuff down into Florida and then up the coast into Virginia. And when we got to Virginia, I saw an advertisement for a Wawa. I was like, oh my God, I have to go there. We have to go there. So I went to Wawa. I got myself a sub. It was delicious. I had a nice big coffee. Set it in the coffee holder in the car that had gotten us across the entire country. It was this nice minivan, brand new. It had like 10,000 miles on it or something, maybe less. And we'd just driven across the entire country. It had taken us about 15, 20 days. And we were like a day away from home. We were going to stop in Washington, D.C. for the night, hang out there for a day or two, and then we were going to drive up to New Jersey the next day to where I lived. My parents lived. So we were pulling out of the Wawa, and this is where my mistake was. There was a light down here, and there was 2 lanes, and then the lane we had to go into was right over here, and it was a red light. It was a red light. So the person at the light, this person stopped here, so to leave it open, to leave the exit to Wawa opened, and they waved me out, and I looked, and there was no one coming, so I was like, okay, thanks, and I pulled out, and then someone came flying around and bashed right into the side of our car, completely totaled it, and that was the end of my Wawa trip. So now I have sad memories about Wawa, too. Anyway, next day, we stayed in a hotel in that town. The rental company got us a new car, got an Uber to the airport. We picked up the new car and then just drove straight back up to home the next day. Skipped Washington, D.C., sadly. But yeah, that was a sad day. So, did anyone get the answer? Subarashi. I've never been to Wawa or 7-Eleven. Wawa is a wonderful. Akashi to yu machi, tadashi ryu. Akashi to yu henna yume. Nice. Yes, good job. Akashi to yu machi. Akashi? 兵庫県そうかもしれない。わかんない。場所わかんない。適当に名前を決めた。やべえ I would have been so freaked out. Oh my god, it was nuts, man. So, here's the next one. There's only one more after this. It was crazy because, so the person who ran into us. Oh, okay. Yeah. There is a place called Akashishi in Hyogo-ken. I didn't know that. Yeah, we didn't get hurt, fortunately. The airbags didn't even go off, despite us they hit right in the front, just in front of my seat. So if I went out a second or less earlier, they would have hit me right in the door, and I probably would be crippled. But they hit us, and there was coffee flying everywhere, and I jumped out of the car. I popped out the keys, we went out the other side, and I ran around to the front of the car, and there was a woman on the ground. She was on the ground. She had fallen out of the driver's seat of the car. This is the woman that hit us. And I'm like, oh my god, I think we just killed someone. And turns out her seatbelt was not on. So she fell out of her car. So there were some people across the road, and they came and helped us carry her to the other side of the road, and I called the cops immediately. And they came, and then they called an ambulance, and Yuki and I were both fine. I had hit my head I felt like on the side, like on the window, but it was not a big deal. So the woman went in the ambulance, but she was just sort of startled. She was okay. She looked okay. So I called the police officer who helped us out the next day, and he had gone to see her in the hospital, and he said she was perfectly fine. And what it turned out is that she was driving on a suspended license. So she was in shock because, well, you can imagine why she was in shock. I think what happened is she was behind the woman who waved us out, and she pulled out as fast as she could to pass her, despite there being a red light, after she waved us in, and just bashed right into us, totaled both our cars. Poor woman. So suspended license, that means, Virginia, it means she has no license now. I felt very bad for her, but there's nothing I could do about that. This just keeps getting worse, this Han-chan. Yeah, it was rough. ポチという犬。正しい。Yes. ポチという犬です。Last one. This is our last one. Left turns are scary. I agree. I try not to do them. Agreed. My bad decisions, her bad decisions. No, thank you very much. Good job. ポチという犬. Okay, this is the last one. ポチという... Oh, I didn't see Ryuji's one. 恐竜の犬 Yes, 恐竜の犬と、ただ、everyone was answering the questions I was telling my story. Sorry about that. ポチという犬。Yes, Joe. ポチという犬。Yes, Lina. ポチという恐竜の犬。Yes, Yuji. Nice. And ポチという犬。Yes, one on it. Very good. Sorry about that, guys. I got very sidetracked. Well, fortunately, you aren't dead. Yes, fortunately, nobody is dead from that situation. あなたたちは、恵まれているね。I hope so. New word. 交通事故. Yes. All right, this is the last one, guys. And then we're going to jump into the last section and we'll be done. Woo. 交通事故. In case you can't read this, this says 怠け者。彼女も怪我がなくてよかったです。ですよね。I'm glad she wasn't hurt. お二人ともご息災で何よりです。ありがとうございます。怠け者という、あれ My computer's just going crazy. What's going on here? 海賊確かに。怠け者という海賊。怠け者という動物。怠け者という、怠け者。Yes. 怠け者という動物。ちょっと怠け者じゃないか？はい。怠け者という動物。I like 怠け者という海賊。ベスト。何？
みんな怠け者のスペリングするの怠けてるね。
怠け者とか。I didn't see that. 怠け者。I like 怠け者。That's a good one.
何ともかわいい。
どれ？
怠け者を。
どれ？
バナニット。
これ。怠け者もいいね。かわいい。はい。Alright, guys. So let's go ahead and jump right into 怠け者という動物. Yes, you are correct. Okay, just kidding. Let's go ahead and jump into easy versus difficult. This is our last section for tonight. So, this is actually quite useful. I like this construction. It's how you're going to say that it's easy to do something, like easy to eat or difficult to eat or easy to sing or difficult to sing. So it's quite useful. And quite easy to use as well. All you need is the vima stem. So for taberu, it's tabe, or for sing, it's utai, and yasui. Now, yasui usually means cheap, but when you attach it to verbs like this, it means easy. Difficult is nikui. So you take the vima stem plus nikui, and that just means difficult to, for example, eat. Tabeyasui, easy to eat. Tabenikui, difficult to eat. Sumiyasui, easy to live in. So you'll hear this one a lot. Is Japan easy to live in? 日本は住みやすいと思う? Do you think Japan is easy to live in? Yes, I do. 日本は住みやすいと思う。とっても住みやすい. It's very easy to live in. 住みにくい, difficult to live in. Some more complicated sentences would be 引っ越したいけどアパートが見つけにくい. I want to move, but it's difficult to find an apartment. 引っ越したいけどアパートが見つけにくい. So difficult to find. 雪山はとっても登りにくい. Snow-covered mountains are difficult to climb. 雪山. 長野市が住みやすいと思います. I think that Nagano City is easy to live in. So very, very simple and very easy to use and very useful construction here. And that's it. Let's jump into the dialogue where we use it a little bit more. I'll read it slowly once, then at full speed we'll go over the English and I'll get to your questions. So, Ando-san. そういえば、プロテインが飲みにくいな。でも、最近のプロテインは飲みやすくなっているみたいだよ。そうかな。安藤さんは味を気にするの？まあ、このラーメンは食べやすいからいいね。ラーメンはプロテインの代わりになるかどうかわからないけど。毎日ラーメン食べたいからジム始めたんだ。 Full speed. そういえば、プロテインが飲みにくいな。でも、最近のプロテインは飲みやすくなっているみたいだよ。そうかな。安藤さんは味を気にするの？まあ、このラーメンは食べやすいからいいね。ラーメンはプロテインの代わりになるかどうかわからないけど。毎日ラーメン食べたいからジム始めたんだ。だよ。始めたんだ。Let's go with English. そういえば、speaking of which, そういえば、プロテインが飲みにくいな。Protein is difficult to drink, man. でも、最近のプロテインは飲みやすくなっているみたいだよ。So this is that construction that someone had asked about earlier. It's you change the... So yasui and nikui are treated as e-adjectives. So you can conjugate them and basically modify them in the same way you could an e-adjective. So you could use ku naru. So 飲みやすくなっている means has become easy to drink. みたいだよ, apparently. So でも最近のプロテインは飲みやすくなっているみたいだよ. But recent protein has become easy to drink, apparently. そうかな? I don't know about that. 安藤さんは味を気にするの? You care about taste? まあ、a bit. このラーメンは食べやすいからいいね. This ramen is easy to eat, so that's good, yeah. ラーメンはプロテインの代わりになるかどうか whether or not ramen will become a replacement 代わりになるかどうか so this is a yes or no whether or not わからないけど I don't know though I don't know whether or not ramen will become a replacement for protein though けど can often be used as like an end of the sentence though which I use far too often in my own English sentences 毎日ラーメン食べたいからジム始めたんだHuh? I started the gym because I want to eat ramen every day. Oof. And that brings us to our question. Tell us one thing that you find easy to drink and one thing that you find difficult to eat. For me, 炭酸水が飲みやすい. What's 炭酸水 in English? Carbonated water. That's not it. Soda water? What the heck is it?Carbonated water? 炭酸水って一体なんだっけ英語で。炭酸水。やべ。Carbonated water? No, that's not right. 炭酸水. Oh my god, I'm losing my mind here. Holy crap, what's the English? 炭酸水って英語でなんだっけやべ。Carbonated water is what comes out. There's got to be a better word for that, no? Somebody's got to know. Okay, hold on. 玉ねぎが乗っているピザが食べにくい. Pizza with onions on it is very difficult to eat for me. Soda, sparkling water. I think that's it. Sparkling water is probably it. Soda water じゃない? Yeah, soda water is probably fine. I just feel like there's a better word that I'm more used to hearing for that. 炭酸水. Okay, anyway. Yeah, so pizza in Japan you got to be careful with.There's often secret onions hidden below the cheese. Just long onions. Blech. Pizza doesn't need onions underneath the cheese, guys. You gotta quit that. It just ruins the pizza. I don't even dislike onions, but I don't like when they hide them in pizza. Not okay. Soda pop? Seltzer! That's what I'm looking for. Seltzer. Seltzer water. That's it. Seltzer water.Megan Dornbrook said seltzer. That's what I was looking for. Seltzer water. That's the one that I'm used to. Okay, so Michael, that is a different word. That... Oh, wait, no. What? Oboe... Okay, never mind. I thought you wrote something else there. Oboe yasui, yeah. I don't know that the kanji is used very often there. But, I guess you can. But yes, oboe yasui. Easy to learn.Mine is normal. I'm still good on my end. Whoa, stream drop quality for anyone else went down. Mine went down to 144p. I'm so sorry. Having some stream troubles tonight. Popped it up manually. It's fine. Sweet. Confused cat. Naruhodo. I thought you were confused about the lesson. なんか、安藤さんってちょっとドピだね。まあね。 粘土みたいですね、ですよね。まあまあ粘土っぽいかな。粘土には、似てる。They're talking bad about Ando-san. So Yuki said, something's weird about Ando. He's kind of dopey. And Come to Japan said, he's kind of like Nendo, who is a character in Saiki Kuso. 音ボケだよね。確かに。ずいぶんがっかりしっぽい。中国語と日本語を同時に学びにくいですね。確かに学びにくいと思います。カルピスは飲みやすいと思います。俺もそう思います。いいですね。ソロワークclub soda is another one. There you go. Club soda. That's another one. Club soda or seltzer. Those are the two I was looking for. Could not remember them for my life. ゲトレードが飲みやすい。ゲートレード。ゲートレード。ゲートレードかな。ゲータレード。ユキは入れてくれた。Yuki's gonna tape it for me. Okay, thank you. ゲートレードが飲みやすい。Okay, Gatorade is easy to drink. レモンサワーが飲みやすい。Lemon sour is easy to drink. Nice. ラムネは飲みにくいから痛いですよ。痛い？ラムネは飲みにくいから痛いですよ。Lemonade is difficult to drink, so it hurts. I don't know if that's what you're trying to say, but what you said is, so it hurts. Maybe. はい。再帰系の粘土みたい。ジンは飲みやすい。ジン is just ジンは飲みやすい is what you would say there. Did I get that right? Close. I'm not sure if that's what you're going for, though. 水が飲みやすい。豆が食べにくいです。なるほどね。豆が好きじゃないですかね。That means you probably would not like natto. So one on it says water is easy to drink, but beans are hard to eat. 紅茶を飲みやすい。でも、ランチを食べにくい。ランチ as in ranch dressing. ランチが食べにくい。まあ、でもいいか。タコが食べにくい。本当、俺もタコが食べにくい。I have a hard time eating octopus. Seltzer 聞いたことないな。I feel like it's probably East Coast word, maybe. I don't know. Could be. New Jersey area word. Pizza already has vegetables in the tomato sauce. I find other vegetables can tend to overpower that. Yeah, all you get if you put onions in with the tomato sauce is the onions. And that's the only texture that's left. Like if you bite down into a pizza expecting cheese and sauce, and that's all you can see, and you get a crunchy onion, totally ruins it. Is a top tier show. I agree. Psyche K is awesome. ブロッコリーが食べにくい。なるほど。ブロッコリー好きですけど。納豆が食べにくいね。いや、俺は納豆好きです。I like natto, but many people have difficulty with it. And I did for my first 2 years in Japan, but I got used to it. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. I love it. I'm a big fan. ゲートレードだ。There you go. 日本酒も飲みやすい。確かにそうですね。日本酒 is Japanese sake is easy to drink. The bubbles sting my throat. なるほど. So you probably want to switch that around. So, ラムネが how would you make that? There's not really an easy way to say that. But 炭酸が喉に痛いかな。
わかりみだよ。
わかりみ？炭酸が喉に痛いから飲みにくい。It's a bit complicated, but 喉に痛い？ユキ？違うね。炭酸が喉にきつい。でも痛いよね。パチパチするしね。そうそう。We'll go with this ends. 炭酸 is carbonation basically. So 炭酸が喉に痛いから飲みにくい。But you could also say ラムネthe full sentence would be ラムネが飲みにくい。But you could also change it to ラムネが の、喉に痛いから飲みにくいです。There you go. All right. Well, strong zero, トリプルグレープ飲みやすい。I still have not tried any strong zero. I probably never will. ストロングゼロがめっちゃ人気ですよ。外国人の中に。No, I meant to say it's hard to drink because it hurts my throat. Yeah. So that sentence below should probably help you there. 事前な時間に、香港という家は没落する。その事実が受け入れやすいじゃない。Sad living in Hong Kong is having difficulties right now, kana. I can't quite read the sentence. I'm not sure what you mean by 事前な時、時間に。事前 as in 人前。Procrastination is what that means, but I'm not sure if that's what you're going for. 香港という家は没落する。
でもわかんない私
も。香港という Do you mean so what you said is a house called Hong Kong will be ruined. I don't think that's what you're going for though. You might have to tell me what you mean. I can help you with that sentence. I think I have an idea of what you're going for, but なるほど。人々は納豆は食べにくいと言いますね。そう。納豆ね。You have an u after the toe, but yes. Many people do say it's hard to eat. 何それ？白子は食べにくいですね。でも最近なんとか食べた。そうなの？食べたくねえな。Come to Japan said 白子. The white, opposite of eggs from fish is hard to eat, but somehow he recently ate it. Okay. 日本では売っていません. Yeah, they don't sell Gatorade in Japan. I've seen it a few places, but it's usually just a really weird small bottle that's not very good. You would need to caramelize the onions to have them very good on pizza. Yeah, and I would prefer to put them on top of the cheese if you caramelize them. So that at least I know they're coming, and I can pick them off if I don't want them. 死体を食べにくいか食べやすいかな? I think you want to say 肉? I don't know. Depends on if you're talking about Tokyo Ghoul or not. I'm still at your Genki 1 lesson 5, but I really want to thank you for explaining lessons and the sample conversations are really, really helpful. Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you for stopping by, Gelrose. I'm happy to hear that you're finding them useful. I hope you can continue to find them useful. You've got lots of lessons to go for you there on the playlist. So I'm glad that it's kind of nice probably to not be caught up, because then you've got lots of things that you can cover at your own pace. But thanks for stopping by. Which pizzas in Japan have onion? Like all of them? It's very hard to find pizza that doesn't have secret onions, unless you go to like a restaurant and get like just margarita, I guess it's called, or whatever. If you buy like a pre-made pizza in a store somewhere, you see it like in a bread store, you're like, ooh, that looks really good. If you think it looks really good, it's probably got really hard crunchy onions hidden under everything. And it won't be in the ingredients. So it'll be like a broccoli and some kind of cool cheeses pizza, for example. You'll be like, oh, I could probably try that. And then you take a bite and there's onions hidden in it. So it's never in the ingredients. They don't consider that an ingredient and it needs to be disclosed, which I disagree with heavily. Like the place we call home is gone. ふるさとが香港というふるさとかな。ふるさと for example. There's probably a few different ways you could call it, but 香港というふるさとが絶滅かな。没落する。その事実が受け入れやすいじゃない？ It's easy to accept. I don't know if it's easy to accept. It's probably very hard to accept. 絶滅はしないけど。I have to go. Thank you for another great lesson. Thank you, one in it. Thank you for stopping by. And yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for answering the questions and hanging out. It was a long one today. I appreciate everyone's patience, and I hope you learned a little something today. Remember, before you go, guys, thumbs up を攻撃してください. Please attack the thumbs up button. And if you're not already subscribed, which I imagine you probably are if you're here right now, ちょっと待って。チャンネル登録お願いします. And please hit the bell as well so that you get notified when we go live or when we put out new videos. Okay, Yuki has something to say.
はい、没落じゃなくて、
はい。
なくなるじゃないですか。
あ、それでもいいよね。確かに。没落, you don't have to use that kind of a complicated word. You could just use なくなる. なくなる instead of 没落。そう、香港というふるさとはなくなるという事実は、
マジそうなの？
その事実が受け入れやすいじゃない。あ、受け入れやすくない。にくい would be the best. 受け入れにくい would be the easiest. Yeah, because that's the opposite. 受け入れやすい would be easy to accept, and 受け入れにくい would be hard to accept. That's what we're going for. Okay, that's where I was lost there. I was using that じゃない as isn't it easy to accept? So, 受け入れやすいじゃない I'd be reading that as the じゃない which means right. 受け入れやすいじゃない So that you hear that tone going up, that means something completely different. It means it's easy to accept, isn't it? But what you want to say is that it's hard to accept. 受け入れにくい. Yes, I imagine it would be. 玉ねぎのあるピザが美味しいじゃない？美味しくないよ。完全に美味しくない。
結構人気ですよ。
絶対食べたくねえ。
結構人気じゃないですか。
I'm with you all about the onions on it if I'm going to eat pizza. いや、みんな違うって。
そう。
欲しくねえって。
ほら
Does anyone recommend any chapter books in Japanese?
I love onion pizza there is bliss for me.
Man, I love onion pizza there is bliss for me. Ugh.
あら
Pizza is not usually, in my mind, a place for vegetables loaded with meat. Word. Or just pepperoni or just plain, whatever. 4 cheeses is good, but not onions, please. And if you're going to put onions, please tell me first. 今日もありがとうございました。こちらこそありがとうございました。Thank you, Radclaw. Thank you, Han. Thank you, everyone. Does anyone recommend any chapter books in Japanese I want to pass N2 this December? So I need something good. We have a book club going on in the Discord right now. They're going to be reading a book together. I don't know if it's quite N2 level or not, but I've recommended some books to people like Kiki's Delivery Service and Kiri no Mukou no Tani. I believe. If you go into my Discord and look at my reading list, I read 2 or 3 books this year that I think are fairly decent if you're going for N2. I haven't read a whole lot of books in Japanese, to be frank. So I don't have a lot of good recommendations. Someone might have some for you here. All right, remember to also go check out Come to Japan Dan. He's got good stuff over there too. Indeed, check out Come to Japan Dan and specifically his new project, Japan Trail Cam, which is what they've been working on hard lately. Check that out. 確かに. Yuki's been attracting birds to our garden. So we have a nice big garden out back. And she's been feeding the birds, and we've been getting lots of cool little birds coming around. She's asking if she should start a garden cam. ちょっと考えたよね。ライブストリームとかをそこに設置した方がいいんじゃねえかって思うんだけどね。
私ライブストリームする横で私も見てるから。
いいんじゃないそれも別のカメラで。Onion never go with pizza, nor do pineapple, says Lee. Yeah, agreed. Never. いろんな緑のあるピザが美味しいよ。いや、全然違うと思います。I've had pizza with salad on top of it, and that was fine, but it's not pizza. Pepperoni, onion, and banana peppers is my favorite pizza. お疲れ様でした。こちらこそ、Satori Reader. Yes, Satori Reader is also great, but it's not if you want to read a full book, it's not quite that. Book club is a manga for our first month, so not N2 level. We used to have durian pizza. Oh, that's rough. Check the reading list of Andy and mine, etc. Should be good for N2 on Discord. Agreed. Kita has some good books on Discord as well. His name is super long and in Japanese. That's how you'll know it's him. So there. Oh, I think you changed it back to Grog. Never mind. Okay. Okay, I'll check Discord. I'm going to read Akai Akumu, so that might be good. Maybe. Oh my god, Yuki the bird whisperer. Yes. Onegai shimasu. We've got some pretty cool birds. We'll have to set up a camera sometime. Do it. There are so many bird watchers. Is pineapple on pizza morally acceptable? I'm not sure. Like literally streams that just show birds 24/7. We literally have birds here just all day, every day, so it would be a good stream. We'll have to do it. Onions and banana peppers. Poor pepperoni. you can't even taste the pepperoni. Agreed. My favorite pizza is just plain. Or 4 cheese with honey on top. That's something Japan does right. You get a 4 cheese pizza and you put some honey on it. Blows my mind. Or just plain pizza with avocado on it. They also do that really well here. And you can put honey on that as well. Surprisingly, honey on pizza is delicious. But pizza in Japan is quite different from pizza in America, especially if we're talking East Coast pizza. But try honey on it anyway. It's pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, I could set it up on the TV for the cat to watch. Oh, they would have a blast. I'll have to think about it. We'll have to see if we can find a camera that we can hook up downstairs to stream permanently. I'm not sure what we could use. We could use we could use my old computer. Set up a old, but we don't have one here. Oh yeah, right. That wouldn't work. That would be terrible. We'll figure something out. ありがとうございます。こちらこそありがとうございました. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was as skeptical as you were, Yuji. I was just as skeptical as you until I tried it, and it was good. Spicy honey on pizza. I've never had spicy honey.
美味しそうだね。
聞いたことない. Sounds good. All right, guys. Well, it's late. I have work tomorrow. Well, just in the morning for 2 hours, but it's still tomorrow.
いいな。
あんたは何あるかい？
私鳥を見
お前は何の仕事あるのか？
私鳥にご飯をあげて。
この人は鳥にご飯をあげて、
庭をこうやって見張る。
庭をこうやって見張る。タフライフだね、ゆきさん。いや、でも何かあるでしょう。
はい、
あれは終わった？あの水引きのやつ。
あ、終わりました。
あ、よかったね。
じゃあ、水引きは全部でやりました。
Honey is as bad as Zoomers poisoning pizza with ranch. Ranch has been something that's been going on with pizza for a lot longer than... Wait, when are Zoomers? What's a Zoomer again? Zoomer generation is what age? Anyway, I have no idea. But when I was in college, everyone was already using pizza, ranch on pizza. And I'm like borderline millennial, I guess. Or maybe I just am a straight up millennial. But they've been using ranch for a while. Some people like honey with savory things like honey mustard, which I don't like at all. Fair enough, but honey mustard would not be good on pizza, I don't feel like. Someone, hi, broken record here, but please consider checking out the Patreon. Yes, but if you do check out the Patreon, do not sign up today. Wait until tomorrow. Because you get charged again on the 1st, even if you join today on the 31st. And that's not a very good experience. So if you're thinking about joining the Patreon at any time in the future, wait. Wait until the 1st. That's my best advice to you. Because you will get charged the next day. And I do refund. If you join after the 25th of the month, I refund your month if you pay for the next month, because I feel really bad about that. But it makes life easier for everyone if you just wait until the 1st of the month. So please consider... Oops. So please consider waiting if you are going to join the Patreon. Sorry about that. They drown the stuff in ranch. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of using too much ranch. But and never being kicked out. Peace out. Yeah, no. All right. So anyway, time to run the thank yous. So thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great night or a great day. And thank you for being here. Hope you had a good one. And we'll see you next time.
ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。また次のビデオで会いましょうね。ありがとうございます。
お疲れ様でした。
また次のビデオで会いましょうね。日本語勉強したいのか？俺と同じ風に日本語を喋れるようになりたいのか？この本持ってるのか？ Then we're here to help. え、そうなの？俺は無理って言おうと思った。On the Tokini Andy Patreon, we have listening and shadowing practice, Genki vocabulary practice, Genki textbook practice where Yuki, Ando, and I are your partners. Eventually, even workbook practice. え、そうなの？給料出る？
確かに。
Yeah, sure.
給料出るんだ。
After Genki 1, we'll be covering Genki 2, and eventually even intermediate textbooks. Detailed grammar lessons and Japanese Q&As will, as always, be on the YouTube for free. Tokini Andy Patreon, live right now. よろしくね。
ろしくお願いします。